You're good to go.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Public Safety Committee meeting for the city of Williamsport. Today's date is October 10th, 2023. We are gathered. It's 11:31 in the morning. With us today is our city clerk, Janice Frank, myself on city council, Vincent Palizzi. We have Mr. Tim Brown, Mr. Lance Thomas. We have Fire Chief Sam Ungt, Councilwoman Bonnie Katz, Chris Black, the city's Director of Information Technology, our captioner. We have a Mr. Andrew Bykar and another Mr. Scott Furdenball. I apologize if I pronounced anything incorrectly. You'll certainly have the chance to let me know that here when we get through some of these agenda items. So up first on today's revised agenda, Clearview Asset Protection. All right, we have Mayor Slaughter joining us. Mayor, take it away, sir.
Yes, good morning, Councilman Palizzi. Here on this first one, this is a non-voting item for this week's agenda. It's simply a presentation to the Public Safety Committee. I spoke with President Yoder and Councilman Mackey. Lance Thomas from Clearview Asset Protection reached out and just wanted to simply do a presentation to you all, to the Public Safety Committee, on some of the stuff that they've been working with us on, discussing with us, discussing with Chief Snyder. So we wanted to get it onto or in front of you for their brief presentation here. So Lance, looks like Lance is on. So Lance, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you and your team for the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone. We've been working with the Mayor and Chief Snyder here for probably going on 12 months, a proposal to bring what we would call a smart city, which would entail a number of technology items we put in a city. And we're looking at a map that would run down 3rd and 4th Street from like Cumming College down to Penn College and cover those two areas. With that would entail bringing a more robust communication into the city by using a company called Ciclu, and that individual, Anthony, should be jumping on here in about 10 minutes. He's just getting off of a plane. And also using hand wall camera systems, which I have. You'll see a Tim Brown and Andrew Becaire on this also to describe more. We had met with Chief of Police Justin to show how these camera systems using sensors and artificial intelligence could help with a number of items, everything from safety to security to data management, traffic management, and even eventually add into where it could help with water and sewer authority in reading meters and reducing some of the extra man hours that may be needed to do this. So we had presented to both the mayor and the Chief Snyder here a map where the placing of the cameras would initially start, and the ability to create a foundation that we could spread these cameras and sensors into like the public parks and swimming pools and stuff, and eventually branch out to cover the whole Williamsport city. So one of the things the mayor had wanted to do then was have us to give a quick briefing of how that would work and how that would look. Tim, I don't know if either you or Andrew have a map that you could show that we had come up with for the initial placing of the cameras and sensors. And these cameras would start also on Market Street. According to the Chief Snyder, he wanted to have some license plate readers on there to help with some investigations. So we were throwing cameras on Market Street and Maynard Street to show any vehicles coming in through those areas into the college or into the city.
Lance,
Tim,
if I could interrupt you real quick, the host has to enable screen sharing. It's disabled right now, so I can't share my screen.
Are you wanting to do it, Mr. Brown?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, Lance.
No, you're fine, man.
Tim, I'm just going to turn it over to you then.
You should be good to go, sir.
Lance, you can keep going with what you were saying. I just wanted to bring up the screen for you. There you go.
Okay. So we have another company. So you'll see right here on the screen, we have a culmination of 3 different companies, actually 4 companies working on this project. This company right here is ASR. They're also in Pennsylvania, and they help do designs for mapping. Now, this will be 3rd and 4th Street coming down from Cumming College, going down to the outskirts of Penn College, and then back up there through center part of the city. These circles will show locations of cameras, and if Tim actually hits the circle, it'll show where that camera view would be. We have met with the maintenance here of the city, and they provided the light posts and any other posts that actually the city owns that we could use for supply power to these systems. So this is kind of what an overlay of the camera system would look like. Now you'll see we have a camera at each corner of a block, and then in the center. This would be the best coverage of all. We're looking more so just to get a system started, and we could reduce those cameras and add to it where we see fit, the chief sees fit, or the Public Safety Council sees where they may need to add these systems at. But this is what the original design we came up with. And in this, we also included Ciclu Communications. Ciclu Communications is now the leader of smart cities. They're used in Denver, New York City, a number of cities in California, where they're using communications that can feed back with cameras and sensors. And it also has the capability to sell some of the Wi-Fi services provided by Ciclu. And once Anthony gets on, I can have him explain more. But this will be the rough layout you're seeing.
I'm here, Lance.
Oh, Tony, can you explain how the Ciclu would tie into what the mapping you're seeing here?
Yeah, so Ciclu is a manufacturer, world's largest manufacturer of 60, 70, 80 gigahertz frequency communication equipment. The equipment is immune to interference from other types of RF signals. And that's what makes it very robust and resilient for this type of deployment. But it's not the only thing that you'll take advantage of. It's basically known as wireless fiber. The capacity inside of this particular part of the radio spectrum, the light spectrum, is huge. So it's multi-gigabit capable if that's what you want to turn it up to. And so from a short-term standpoint, backhaul cameras, no problem all day. Maximize the investment in the imagery that you're looking to achieve. You'll never hit a ceiling or a capacity issue. We literally backhaul cameras for some of the largest cities in the world and smallest towns and churches that you can imagine across the country. So it's a giant pipeline. It accepts the ability to parse or just create virtual LAN environments. So you can have a PD network. You could have a city network that allowed them access to Wi-Fi, and none of this would be congested because the capacity is so rich within this particular spectrum of the radio frequency.
Tony, can you explain possible ROI from resale of this product for the city?
Yeah, so by creating pipelines in the air, essentially, you offer the ability to have, it's known as neutral third-party host. So the city would essentially have a pipeline that it could rent or lease to an ISP or some other interested party. You're not going to make up all your money, but it is a revenue stream that you can definitely take advantage of. In some cities like Houston, it's a trade-off where, hey, we'll give you access to the pipeline. You're going to provide low-cost internet to this particular community and then have at it everywhere else, or link into it with other types of Ciclu radios. It's just a leaseway.
One of the very interesting things, as I spoke with the president of the Chamber of Commerce, like Cumming County, more specific, the Williamsport area, is always looking for larger manufacturers and businesses to come into, and they rate certain cities as these companies are looking to come into that city. One of the benefits of having a smart city is it provides a better rating for newer manufacturing companies looking to come into the Lycoming County area when we have this tied in. We have also spoke with Penn College and Lycoming College, and they are very interested in knowing more and being a part of this. Currently, we are working with Mansfield University to do the same up at Mansfield University and roll that over into the borough of Mansfield. So these are other areas in our area in the central part of Pennsylvania that are looking to use this technology, the AI, the cameras, the sensors, the communications. And one of the nice things here is we've supported when I say we, Clearview has supported Williamsport City for the last number of years to the Little League International Parade. And that's another reason why we picked this route. And we've had talks with Little League about being able to assist with the smart city, and they were very interested in learning more and being a part of this. So this has the ability to lay that foundation. And then with the CICLU, we can grow as we see needs in the area of the city and even outside the city to go in other townships or across the bridge in the South Williamsport. One of the last items I want to bring up is Clearview has won a contract with Pennsylvania. It's the first in the nation that we will be providing AI for an Amber Alert integration along Interstate 80. I've also brought this up to the mayor and the chief. I'd like to make Williamsport the first city that would have this Amber Alert integration, would go right into the state police in Harrisburg to be part of this, what we're doing here on the Smart City project. Hopefully I explained myself well enough. Are there any questions of what we're looking to do?
Mr. Thomas, can you spell CICLU's name? How do you spell that?
SIKLU.
Okay, thank you. How is this? Okay. When it comes to IT, it's a lot of most of this goes over my head. How is this run? Is this run through the electricity that's on the poles, or is there solar, or how is this run?
So the mapping that we provide there with the cameras, that would be ran off of the poles that the city owns.
And is electricity going through, and how much electricity is needed to run this?
It's minute. It'll go through like a Cat 5 wire. So, and maybe I'm better off to ask Tim. Tim, what are we looking at for the electricity? I know it's minimal, but do you have an idea to be able to answer?
I can take that if you want, Tim. Hey, everybody, this is Andrew Bykar. I'm with Hanwha, who's the camera manufacturer that we're proposing for this. Our cameras that we're proposing today are running mainly on PoE+, which is a IEEE standard in the industry. It does not take much power, as Lance had alluded to, but it does require some. And then the point-to-point, I can't speak for CICLU, but maybe Tim or Tony could weigh in on that, on how much power those would be drawing at each point.
Happy to do it, guys. So Tony Hackett here with CICLU. Our radios are very low power, and so we're talking in some cases less than 10 watts. But we do make power options available so that cameras can connect directly into our devices and be powered through that device. And so we do have power options that go up to support that activity, if that makes the most sense for the city. But suffice it to say, it's for most of our radios, it's under 30 watts of power. Some of them are down around 11 watts of power. Very, very small amount of energy.
I was just asking this because I know a lot of the light poles don't generate that much power. I mean, we're limited what we can do with the light poles. And I don't, with the other poles, I didn't even realize the electricity going through there, if it would be the same as the lights. And like I said, I wanted to make sure that there would be enough power because we ran into that problem in the downtown area that you can't plug everything into these things, you know? So it's one of the questions that I had. And you would have to then also work with our IT person, Chris Black, with setting up. Who sets all this up? Your company comes and does all this? From what I'm understanding, there's 3 different companies here.
So-
And how does it work?
In
Yeah,
order
so-
to answer that, Bonnie, Clearview would be the primary. We'd be working with the hand wall, Tim Brown. That's the hand wall is actually the camera manufacturer. They are our regional support, and then Tim Brown. But we work with Chris. Chris actually has walked through your guys' IT. Chris Black has actually walked this with us. He's been in a number of meetings. He would be an intricate part of this to ensure that we're meeting the city's needs. So yes, Chris would be right there side by side with us.
And how many of these devices would you be putting up, looking at the map? How many devices are needed? You said 1 at each end of the block and 1 in the middle. Is that what you were stating?
So what you're seeing there are the circles are the cameras, and we went through maximum coverage, which would show a camera at each corner of the block and 1 in between. We
Right.
don't necessarily need to add that many cameras. We could literally do 1 camera per block and then build on that as we go or as we see needs. And so this is pretty flexible right here. Each one of these cameras, though, would need a Ciclo antenna. And what that does is the old camera systems used to have a cellular device in them that you would pay per each camera for cell data. These cameras do not need that. By using the Ciclo, you're using a point-to-point transfer. So that is another reason why it reduces the cost of this system, because we're not using that cell coverage for each. You're not paying per each camera to be out there for cell coverage like the older systems. And again, that would be based on the final plan and design that the city would agree to how many of these cameras and antenna placements we would need to start off with.
And storage of this, how long does the images stay on these cameras? And where would the storage be for this, and who watches over this?
So that was another discussion we've had, another meeting we had with the Chamber of Commerce, the president there. They'd be interested in helping us there. So all this storage would come back to what they call a head unit, an NVR, and it would be stored on there. So it can either be stored in the police department, it can be stored in a nonprofit organization, but all this was still required to be handled, this video, as regular evidence. So that would be something that would have to be determined by the city, how and who they'd want to oversee this.
So security is there that not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can get into this.
Correct. It's encrypted and it can be secured. So exactly what you said. No one can just walk in, grab it, and go.
And does someone have to be looking at this? How long does like I said, how long does the images stay? A day, a month, 6 months?
And again, that would be determined by how long the city would want it. Typically, we would advise you keep it for 30 days minimum to be able to use some of this video for evidentiary purposes. And a lot of times we look at it just on a security of police officer side, but there's so much more. This information can tally reports. It could be used for traffic management, let you know, hey, during Little League, we're seeing this many vehicles. We may want to make some changes in lights. We can do a number of items such as that AI. So determining what direction the city will want to go would also determine how long do you want to maintain that video. And no, you wouldn't need somebody there monitoring all the time. You could set up certain boundaries where, and I'll use the law enforcement side. If you're looking for a vehicle that we know the known license plate and it comes through that area, it would automatically alert the police and say, hey, here's the vehicle. This is the location. It just came through. Here's the video. And then they can jump on the system and track that vehicle. If you're looking at, hey, we want to know when we have a parade coming down, looking for 2 lost children. This is our last location. Where do we put these faces and where do we find it? You can do the same. So this can be watched live and monitored, or it can be reviewed later at another date. But we usually advise at least a 30-day minimum of storage of the data.
If you're going to use this for evidence, say in the police department, since we're talking strictly police right now, and you need it for a court hearing, are you able to download and save a portion of this?
Correct. And it'll all be date, time stamped. This is, as you heard Tony talk, this layout is the same idea that's being used now in New York City, Denver, Houston, I believe in Cleveland right now in Ohio, is one of the closer cities, Lancaster here in Pennsylvania. They're doing the same thing. All this can be used for evidentiary value. It can be used for law enforcement. It can be used for public maintenance. There's so much that we can add to this. I'm looking to get the basic in, and then the city can have an opportunity with Chris Black to determine, okay, what direction, what do we need to build on this? There's an opportunity where we can use sensors, and now all of a sudden I can read a whole block of meters of sewer and water without having an individual actually go to that location. We can monitor door systems. There's a lot that can be done with this. We start off with the cameras for that 3rd and 4th Street because, quite honestly, 3rd and 4th Street with the 2 universities, we can now go back and say, hey, we have a safe, secure area where your students can come down into downtown during the university when it's in the same area that will be used by the Little League World Series for the national parades and all the other parades taking place, plus all the other events. And so that's kind of how we came up with this idea and the location of these cameras. But that can always change and be modified and built on.
Does it do any face recognition?
Again, it does. That'll be part of the AI that can be presented. We have used it at the NFL for Pittsburgh Steelers. And we actually had an event where Terry Bradshaw showed up unannounced. The people did not think it was Terry Bradshaw. They let him go into a private area where all the players are at, where they parked his vehicle. And within 3 minutes, we were able to pull up Terry Bradshaw's facial recognition and then do a breadcrumb to find out where Terry Bradshaw had been. Was it actually Terry Bradshaw, and where was he at now? We did all that within 3 minutes.
Okay, so it has all those capabilities. Now, here's the big question. What's the cost?
And again, that's going to determine with Chris and the mayor and the chief and everybody else. Right now, I'm going to tell you all the cameras you have in place for what we're looking at doing is an overkill. You're going to want to reduce some of those cameras in some of those areas. So that's going to be reduce the cost. One of the largest costs will be the communication, the SICLU side, but there's a number of grants out there currently. I know the county commissioners were looking at grant funding for communications, that funding can be used to do this and really reduce the cost. So we can get into a couple 100,000 to we can get into several million, depending on how large you want this to go.
All right, and you said that there's grants out there for this. So is the county looking at this also? Are they looking to work with the city on this? And also the chamber, are they willing to work with the city for cost factors here? Since you've obviously talked to two of these components, the chamber and the county. Did you bring that up that, the 3 entities could work together to find the cost needed for this?
I did bring it up. And I guess a lot of it was, again, I don't want to overstep my boundaries, explain there's grant funding, there's opportunities that come together as a whole to make this project happen. But a lot of it came back to, well, we'll meet with the mayor and the city and see what direction they want to go.
Okay, I think I'm out of questions right at this moment. I mean, it's an incredible piece of equipment, and this is where I know everybody's going in these directions. Vince, I don't have any other questions right at the moment.
All right, thank you very much, Bonnie. No, you covered quite a lot of the questions that I had jotted down myself. Gentlemen, I appreciate you doing the thorough analysis, kind of breaking it all down, giving us a good idea on it. As this is a committee meeting, we don't vote, we don't give advice, we don't request advice, we just kind of listen and ask some questions. I guess that would be pretty much all for me until we're able to openly discuss this at city council. The idea of the technology being implemented in the city, it sounds like it'd be a great asset, but again, to Councilwoman Katz's point, at what cost? And that's always my biggest concern is how are we going to pay for it? Certainly I'm always cognizant of the costs. So I have no questions.
Mayor, do you have any, I take it this is not on the agenda for right now. Are you doing more discussions with these companies, or what is your plan?
Yep, this is exploratory at the moment. Wanted to get it again before you as a presentation so you can see what we're working on. But at this point, we're going to continue to work with, as Lance mentioned, talk with the chamber. Jason's aware, county's aware. And as we start to have more definitive plans and ideas, then once there's something for council to vote on, we'll get it to you. But at this point right now, we're just working with Lance and some others, exploring the smart city technology, where we think it makes sense to implement it, and then start to work on the cost breakdowns, as well as working with Delta and them, as Lance mentioned too, on possible grant funding. So there's still a lot of variables and we don't have all that information yet, but once we do have a solid plan and ready for council's agenda, we'll bring that back before you. But I did want to show you all just what we've been discussing, what we've been working on.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I appreciate it. Appreciate the presentation. Again, I'm excited to see what we develop. Okay. If there
Thank you,
are,
gentlemen.
yep. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you then. Have a good day.
Yep, you
Thank
too.
you.
Okay. If there are no other questions regarding Clearview or their presentation, we can move on to the next item for the Public Safety Committee today, which is a resolution authorizing an agreement between the Williamsport Bureau of Fire and Culligan of North Central. Chief Ungst, Chief Lucas, welcome everyone. Chief Ungst,
Well,
take it away.
okay, I'm going to defer to Renee. Renee's been heading this up. So I'll let her explain it.
Hi, good morning, council members. How are you? So what you have is a resolution to contract with Culligan of North Central Pennsylvania for a new water system. It's something that we use every day on a regular basis, significantly. The system that we have in place now has been here for about 15 to 20 years. The water cooler, and it has some significant issues and gets some buildup with mold and residue. This new system will provide us with a new cooler as well as ultraviolet light to help eliminate the mold and bacterial growth in the lines and everything. This is a state-of-the-art cooler. It's the newest one out. Price is $1 more than what we normally, or I'm sorry, $2 more than what we are currently paying. But the benefits of them being able to come in and service this, as it being a new water cooler compared to our 15-year-old one, we feel that this is a great upgrade to the firehouse and our new kitchen.
And obviously with what we do, we encourage everyone to stay hydrated.
Yes.
So this helps out a lot.
Yeah, if we had a normal water cooler where you put the big 5-gallon jugs of water on, we would go through easily in a day, probably 6 or 7 of those 5-gallon water jugs. So this is something that is used very heavily here within the department.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Renee. I appreciate it. Bonnie, do you have any questions?
I see in the description, you have tabletop, countertop and floor model. And explain how this is done. This is hooked up to the water filtration system is hooked up to the water. There's no more jugs then.
Correct. The current system that we have now, we have a water line that runs straight to it. We have no jugs of water, so to speak. The water is directly ported into this cooler.
Okay,
So
so
we had an option. We could get one that sits on the new countertop that we have in the kitchen. Or we could get a standalone unit like what we have now that sits on the floor. But again, there is no water jugs. It is direct. The water is directly run right into this machine
Through a filter.
through a filter.
Mhm.
And this new UV ultraviolet light filter is state of the art to help with the mold and bacterial issue that we have.
I know I had to deal with that in Bernie's office at some point. Plus I
Oh,
had
yeah.
drugs. It was terrible,
Yeah, it's horrible.
you know, and it is terrible. Are you doing the floor model?
Yes, that we are. Yeah.
Which would save your counter space. How big, I read where it was, how big this was, and I can't remember what it was.
This will probably be the standard size as what we have now. Might be just
A little bit wider.
a little bit wider, maybe just a tad shorter, but you know, we have the space for it, you know, where our current one is.
And it does it do like so many of them, hot and cold?
I believe this does hot water as well. Yes, hot water. Yep, so just hot and cold. We have an ice machine, so this is just strictly water.
Okay. I don't have any more questions, Vince.
Right. It seems pretty clear cut. It's a direct pipe water filtration. You know, obviously our firefighters need to stay hydrated. So I have no questions regarding this. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next item of our agenda. Again, it's a resolution authorizing the purchase agreement between Williamsport Bureau of Fire and Berge Chevrolet. Did I say that right? Berge Chevrolet?
Yeah.
All right. Gentlemen, welcome back. And ladies, sorry.
You're fine.
All right, so this resolution and the next resolution piggyback off of each other. It's the same components. So Chief Lucas oversees the apparatus, and I'm going to let him speak to this.
So what you have before you is we want to purchase a new utility truck through capital projects. When we were reaching out to the person, Levan, about building the utility box for the truck and getting ideas, he quoted us the price to have a custom built utility box put on this to support all our equipment needs, the water rescue, rope rescue, all that type of the support equipment that we need for structure fires. So when talking with him and working out a price to build this box, he suggested he had a contact at Berge Chevrolet, and he reached out to Berge, and they quoted us a price for this 2024 Chevy Silverado 3500 that we need for the box to go onto. So we also did some shopping around locally for the Chevy truck, and Berge come in with the best number. So that's why you see in front of you for Berge Chevrolet for the 51,000 for the 3500. And then the box was quoted at 32,581. So Berge is right close to the dealership where Levan is. So it makes it simple that Berge can send the truck right over to Levan. They can build the box, custom build it, attach it to the truck, and then it'd be about a 9-month turnover. So that's why you see Berge's on there. So this will be replacing a what year is?
97.
2007.
Oh, 2006.
2006 Ford F-350 that's very not reliable anymore. It actually broke down on us going to a water rescue call, so that's pretty embarrassing. So it's a much needed upgrade for the utility truck that we have, so that's why we're replacing it.
And this truck is a gas engine as opposed to a diesel. I know diesel hauls better, but we had quite a few issues with this 2006 Ford F-350 that we had. And talking with Chief Lucas, other members of the truck committee, as well as our maintenance engineer, going with the gas engine was the most optimal purchase. Any questions?
I do, Vince. In the
All right.
resolution, you have $51,202.32, but on the description page, it has 56,190,000.
Right, so that the 56,000 was the CoStar's price, and they were able to get it down to their amount or their net sale of 51,202. Right?
Okay, so
Yes.
it is strictly the 51,202.
Correct.
And you're saying this is going to be, it comes out of capital projects. How much are you allowed in capital projects at this point? What's in there yet?
So there's $90,000 in capital projects for this utility truck. So this will come out to we'll have about $6,000 left over. And we're gonna use that $6,000 to upfit with the lights and sirens and that type of thing.
And this is coming out of money this year, because this is stated that you won't get this until 2024, or are you using 2024 budget?
It's a 2024 truck, but it's 2023's budget for this year.
I'm just clarifying that. Okay.
Yep,
And you said it's going to take how many weeks for this?
it's about 9 months.
Why does it take that long? It's
It's
a freaking truck, for God's sake.
I know.
Well, it's taken it'll take almost 3 years to get or 2 years.
2 years.
Little over 2 years to get the fire apparatus.
Not to mention the UAW is still on strike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are you going to do? Is this the old vehicle? You're trading it in? What are you doing with it? Is it
So the old vehicle is a task force vehicle. It was bought through the North Central Task Force. So unfortunately, it has to go back to them.
Oh, it's their headache then.
Yeah, it's their headache. Yeah.
Okay.
So they, whatever they want to do with it, if they want us to sell it and put that money back towards the task force, whatever, we haven't worked that out, but ultimately that old truck goes back to the task force.
But you've got to nurse this as long for at least 9 months.
Yes.
Okay. Lots of luck.
Yeah.
I don't have any more questions, Vince.
Thank you, Bonnie. No, so the only question I think I had was, so you're procuring this vehicle through Berge Chevrolet. And I know, like, when the police department goes to procure vehicles, they have to go through, or we have utilized typically in the past, Apple brand dealerships. Now, is Berge's, I'm guessing, is this the same kind of validation process that this dealership has the accreditation to be able to sell vehicles to municipalities and governmental entities like that?
They
Yes.
do, yes.
Okay. All right. That was really my only question. No, it looks like we certainly we can't have our vehicles breaking down on the way to a call.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. And that resolution segueing into the next one. It is a resolution authorizing an agreement between Williamsport Bureau of Fire and Levan Machine and Truck. Gentlemen, ladies, go right ahead.
So again, like I said, this is part of the package deal. This is a custom built utility box that will be put on the new truck. It will have compartmentation with doors. It'll have a slide out tray in the rear, have lighting. Basically we can haul our water rescue equipment, rope rescue, when guys go out to service hydrants or whatever. It's an all-inclusive utility truck. So, but in order for us to capitalize on the maximum amount of space for what equipment we're hauling on it, we had to come up with a custom built box with compartmentation to handle the equipment load.
No, it seems pretty clear cut. Bonnie, do you have any questions?
Nope, I think it's clear cut, as you said. Another piece of equipment that's needed, and it's coming out of capital project funding anyhow, and it's $32,581. And did both of these resolutions go through Austin?
They did, yes.
Okay.
He
I
was very
noticed that the
pleased.
color of,
Austin and Co-Stars, you covered all bases.
I noticed that the color of the truck is called Red Hot.
Yeah,
Is that a proprietary color for the fire department?
pretty much, yeah.
You know, you're more likely to get pulled over if you're driving a red vehicle than any other color.
That's a fallacy.
Okay. No, it certainly, you know, we want to have the assets on hand and at our disposal whenever we need it. So these vehicles are tools used to save lives, so we want to make sure that we have them and that they're in good, solid, dependable running condition. I have no real questions for this. Bonnie, do you have any other questions?
No, I don't. Thank you very
Okay.
much, Chiefs and Renee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for being here, which, okay, so if there's no other questions, that takes us into the last item on the agenda. Any related items? Bonnie, do you have anything that you would like to add?
Yes, Vince, since we were talking about vehicle purchases, I heard that a vehicle was purchased. I'm not sure if purchased or was given through say Streets and Parks or even fire or police to use for the city. And I would like to know if a vehicle was purchased, or are we just for the mayor's office or anybody that wants to use it? It's called, what I understand, a city vehicle. So I think I would like to know how this is being appropriated and where it came from.
Okay,
Okay.
I
there's no
appreciate you
answer
bringing that
question.
in.
Yes,
We will make sure that goes on the, or is brought up at this Thursday's city council meeting.
is your puppy dog right there?
She is.
Okay. Gotta
Yeah.
get her into the meetings, come on. I
Yeah,
have no other questions or, at all.
okay. Well, thank you. Well, if there's no other questions.
She
or
just made a
comments-
motion. I'll second it.
All right. I would also second that motion, Bonnie.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. I hope you all have a safe and happy rest of your day.
Bye, guys.